Test, test, test. Let's do that again. Mindy, are you ready? Okay. I call this meeting to order at 1:37 on May 30th, 2024, Animal Shelter Advisory Committee. 1:37, let me write that down. Are we going to do the invocation pledges? That's my meeting. All right, let's do it. Everybody please rise for a moment of silence, followed by the pledge. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Next on the agenda is the consent agenda, which we don't have for this meeting because this is the first one. And Mindy, did we attach the last meeting's minutes? Okay. Well, then the next time we meet, we'll. Okay. I didn't bring stuff. Yeah. Okay. Well, next meeting.
One thing to keep in mind too is that this is it's a different commission from the prior ones.
Right.
So the prior meetings will be archived separately from this one. So this is starting with a clean slate moving forward.
Okay, so the last meeting won't have its minutes approved because we won't have another, y'all forgive me.
Yeah, they will just be
I've got
archived.
Family issues going on here, shouldn't be doing that. Okay, we'll move on to citizens' comments.
Anybody want to speak?
Have to wait their turn. Okay, moving on. Discussion items. All right, welcome and orientation for new board members. So what we're going to do is we're going to go around the room and everybody's going to introduce themselves and state what they do, what their job is, and then tell us what your job is on this committee. Because not everybody may know what you do out there in the real world. Okay, I'll start. I'm Susan Mackey. Looks like I'm the president of this board. I'm retired from teaching and the Navy, so that kind of pigeonholes me. Okay, Mayor, you're up.
Stephanie Boardingham, the mayor of the city of Forest Hill, and I guess that's what I am on this board. I don't know. I'm just a Forest Hill representative.
Ray Rentschler. I'm the lead animal control officer at the animal shelter, and I've been doing this for about 20 plus years, and my position on here is to be the shelter representative.
I'm Judy Sellers. I am retired, and I used to be the secretary at one time for the Animal Control Board, and I'm very happy that Mindy's here.
Pierce. I'm retired from the city of Arlington Animal Services and code enforcement. I did 25, almost 26 years, and then went back part-time for a couple of years, handling the animal services operations, field operations, working with Ray, and I'm the rescue representative for the board at this time.
Mindy Parks, the city secretary for the city of Everman, and I'm here for you guys.
Love that answer. That's a good answer. I am Craig Spencer. I'm the city manager for the city of Everman. So just here I won't be at all these meetings, just kind of here at staff support, getting these all kicked off. You want to introduce yourselves?
I'm Elizabeth Stonish. I'm the administrative assistant. I'm Elizabeth Stonish. I am the administrative assistant for the city of Everman. Police Department.
Sergeant James Robinson. I'm the supervisor over ACO and CID.
And and Chairwoman Mackey, if it's all right, I've got a couple things to go over too as a part of the orientation for the board. And I've got a slideshow up, if you don't mind showing the slideshow. Couple things, just so everybody understands the purpose and the obligations here. So this board was created as a legislative requirement by the state of Texas. It's contained within the Health and Safety Code under Title 10, Health and Safety of Animals, Chapter 823. We do operate an animal shelter. Therefore, under that same article, which is actually a pretty short article, it talks about that there is a requirement for an animal shelter advisory committee. It does not go into great detail as to exactly what your responsibilities are at the state level. That's controlled more on the local level. But there is an obligation of the committee to make sure that the shelter operates to standards, which is highlighted in the article. And it talks about the standards and a criminal penalty. Each animal shelter operated in the state shall comply with the standards for housing and sanitation as provided in Chapter 826 for the quarantine and impoundment facilities, and animal control officer training adopted under Chapter 829. There's several requirements within Chapter 826 and 829 that are separate. We're not going to go into all those. I'm not going to read through and teach criminal law today, but you have an opportunity to review those. And then Ray, who has been absolutely tremendous to have here, not only, and he's very humble, he doesn't only operate as our lead ACO, he also instructs and teaches. So he teaches a lot of this material to other municipal animal control officers and groups, and I believe Mr. Pierce has that background as well. So we've got some really well-educated folks on the law and the requirements that serve on this board, so they will be a great soundboard for each of you. The committee was created through the City of Everman ordinance, and so I think everybody here knows that this is a consolidated operation between the City of Everman and the City of Forest Hill. We're working together to provide good animal services to our citizens, and so far it's been working out pretty good. The control and employment of the shelter itself falls underneath the responsibility of the City of Everman, so that's why the City of Everman had to establish the ordinance to create this board. But we've got a really good working relationship with the City of Forest Hill, obviously. Mayor Boardingham's on this committee. And so, we've been doing really well working together to try to figure out a pathway forward. I think it's working out well. The terms for office, because this is a new committee, they were staggered terms to start with. That does not mean that we can't renew a term. Some of the positions were appointed for one-year terms and some were appointed for two-year terms. That's just so that we have staggering terms. So 15 years from now, when there's a change that takes place, because I'm sure all of you are going to be here for 15 years, we're not making those changes all at once. So that way it doesn't affect the entire voting pattern. That's typical of boards. So because it's a new board, there is a staggered term. Meetings and quorum, so there is a requirement within the ordinance for a quorum. We do have 7 appointees, so the 7 voting members of the commission are you. Staff is not a voting member of the commission, and we have to have at least 4 of you here in order to have a meeting and take any action. So, and I know 3 of you are elected officials, and I'm sitting here explaining this to you, but I know you already know. Policies on governance and procedures. So the City of Everman does have a policy on governance, and I did print off a copy of that to give to you, so you've got it as a reference. This is more so just a good guide for you as to the rules of order and how we handle business. So if you ever want to know about, what is tabling an item, how do we pass an item, what the steps are to move an agenda item forward, how do we get items on the agenda, those kinds of things. All that's contained in here for your review. You can also always come to Mindy or me if you have any question regarding how to get through that process, and we'll make it happen. All of our meetings, including this one right now, they're all live streamed, audio and video recorded. So microphones are important. If your microphone's not on, we don't necessarily need the microphone here to talk, and so that's kind of the bad habit, but it will not pick you up and it will not go on the record, and people online, anybody that may be watching, won't be able to hear you if your microphone's not on. So just make sure you turn your microphone on while you speak. Make sure to turn it off when you're not speaking, because if all of these microphones wind up getting left on, we start getting feedback, and it just becomes kind of a mess. So a little bit of a habit that you're going to have to get into if you're not used to it. And then, of course, the Open Meetings Act I did send out again. I'm talking to 3 elected officials who have complied with this long before now. But if you haven't attended the Open Meetings Act training, it is online. I think we sent that link out. It's a very, very quick training. Mindy just files that away in the city secretary's office with your certificate to show that all of our board members have had Open Meetings Act training. So here in a minute, Ray's going to talk a lot about the animal shelter. I don't want to answer any questions about the animal shelter, but do you have any questions about the board, its purpose, or city operations that I could answer? Awesome. I'm done.
Would you mind putting the PowerPoint presentation up? PowerPoint? PowerPoint? No. Here we go. Okay. I'm really excited about doing this. I've been here. I started here January 8th, and we've. Better? Okay. I'm really excited about being here. I started January 8th, and we've seen a lot of changes at the shelter. So kind of want to go through some of the things of where we were before I got here, at least from some of the things that I saw, where we are now, and then where we would like to go. So some of the things when I came in, some of the struggles that we really had is we had injured and inexperienced staff. We had two employees that were bitten by dogs. And so one of them was still out since last November, so we've been short that part-time person. Because of inexperience, there was a lack of training for the staff that was there when I came in. There was a policy of overcapacity going on, which overcapacity means there's only so many cages, and overcapacity means you're putting in more animals than you have capacity for. And then there was really some insufficient safety policies that really tied in with the overcapacity. Those were the big things I saw coming in that really needed to get addressed pretty quick. So where we are now, we cleaned house. Dakota, who is the other animal control officer there, we really went after it, and we cleaned up a lot of stuff that was there that was kind of unnecessary. We put in some SOPs that for cleaning. And one of the things that we were really proud of is people would come in and they would say, wow, it smells good in here, and that made us happy, Or they said, it doesn't even smell like an animal shelter. That is what, when you're running an animal shelter, that's what you really want to hear. When people walk in, they know you have dogs, but they don't smell it. So we're really proud of that, and Dakota does a lot of that down there. He's a hard worker. So then we started getting in the training. By March 5th, there's 3 of us, and all of us were fear-free shelter trained. Fear-free sheltering means that we're looking for things so when the animals are there, they don't have fear. We want to avoid fear, anxiety, stress, and frustration for them. So we want to do things so when they're at the shelter, they're the most comfortable. So we all went through the training, and we're all looking at those things all the time. Dakota has received his basic animal control certification. We put in place a cleaning SOP and a pathway planning SOP, which a pathway planning means that when an animal comes in, right away we're already thinking how we're going to get that animal through the shelter in the quickest amount of time. I spent a lot of time getting the administration caught up. Good data is important, which we'll go through later. I'll show you some of the data that we have, and so we can compare, so we know where we're at and where we're going, and if we can see any trends coming up. And we also put in a standardized reporting. So when we get these reports, I'm sending them up to upper management so they know what's going on with what's going on at the shelter. I put that communication with management is a high priority for us. We want to make sure that we're letting everybody know what's going on at all times. I try to be very, very transparent. I was really excited about this. Mr. Pierce even mentioned it when he came in. We have new pretty trucks. Our trucks are really nice. Like I said, I've been doing this for a while, and when I came in and I saw that brand new truck, I'm like, wow, this is awesome. So we're working on getting the new logos put on the trucks, which we'll talk about. Well, I'll talk about that now. The other thing that we got done is we talked about we have a relationship. We work together. We're really one shelter with Forest Hill. It's Everman and Forest Hill. So one of the things we started doing when we got in is we make sure we were answering the phone so people knew that we're Everman Forest Hill Animal Services, because we're located in Everman, so Forest Hill residents sometimes were confused that we were the ones helping them. So a new logo was put into place, which Chief put together, a really awesome logo, which you saw at the beginning. So we're calling ourselves a Municipal Animal Services. So as we grow, if other cities would come on possibly or whatever, but it would be able to encompass them. But it's really nice because when we go up there, we're Municipal Animal Services, and when we answer the phone, they're even saying, "Are you just animal control?" I said, "Yes, we're animal control for Everman and Forest Hill," and and then they start talking, and our residents are getting more and more used to that too. As we're answering the phone, they know who we are. It's really coming together really quick. And basically talk about we want to unify our cities under our animal services. We need to be unified. We serve both cities equally and fairly. The other thing we did was we got a new website built. The new website is municipalanimalservices.net, and the municipalanimalservices.net we're really happy about that. That website is when people are calling and they're saying, "Hey, I lost my dog." Okay, well, let me find out if we have it for you. We take a look, and we don't. And I said, but you can watch our website. You go to and we give them the website, and within 15 minutes after we log in an animal, that animal's being posted to that website, so they can find them constantly. And it also people who are looking to adopt those animals are on our website at all times. And we also input on our ordinances on the website as well. And it's going to grow as we get more time to put more things into the website. So talking about animal services, I know a lot of y'all has been on the board or before, but really what animal services to me, and really boiling it down to what it is, it's a quality of life issue. Just like our parks, when you go to the parks, you want to have beautiful parks, a place for them to enjoy. And animal control is part of that as well. Our goal is to keep people safe from animals, because there are not some nice animals out there. And we also want to keep animals safe from people, because vice versa, sometimes there's not so nice people out there. And we also, that's one of the main things we do with animal control, but we also, as a shelter, we want to save as many animals' lives as possible. My goal has always been the healthy adoptable animals. I would love to have 100% live release rate. That's what I would love to get to, and that's one of the goals that I want to see us get to in the future. So this is kind of where we want to go. As y'all know, we're working on a new shelter. Really exciting. It's in the packet too. There's information about what we're looking at for the new shelter. It'll hold at least 30 dogs, which will help us tremendously. It's going to be a beautiful shelter. I'm super excited about that. I wanted to talk to you all about having a mission statement that supports both of our communities, and I'll be passing that around as I talk about it a little bit later. And I'd also like to have the board think about and talk about in the future having city ordinances that kind of bring both cities together, because our city ordinances are kind of. Well, I can tell you that when people call and ask me, "Hey, can I do this?" I go, "Just a second," because I confuse the city's ordinances sometimes. So I'll look it up. And some of our ordinances are honestly a little outdated, so we might want to catch up. And also we may be more intertwined with like our neighboring municipalities. Like an example would be in both city ordinances it talks about tethering. the animals, and then they give this whole list of things that you can do and you can't do. And honestly, it's going to be hard to make that stick. Most cities in the metropolitan area are going with a tethering ordinance that says basically you can tether your animal as long as you're with it. So if you're outside, the way I explain it to people is if you're outside washing your car and you have your dog tied to the tree while you're washing the car, you're good. If I drive by and that's when you decided to go to the bathroom and the dog's out there and you're not out there, now you got to get a ticket. So it kind of, and it makes it easier. So, I mean, that's just one example of things that, that I'd like to discuss as a board in the future. The mission statement, and I'm going to pass these out. This is just a suggestion for a mission statement, but this is something as the advisory board, I'd love to come up with this mission statement that we could all work with together. But the mission statement, I've learned over time that if you have a super long 2-paragraph mission statement, nobody knows what it is, and it's kind of hard to work with it. And they don't read it, yes. And I don't read my own mission statement, so I wouldn't even know what it says. But the mission statement I'm thinking about is working together as a community, we improve the lives of people and animals. And why that one? Because we understand that, we can't handle all animal problems in our community. There's just no way that anybody could do that. That it has to be a community effort. It's a combination of our community leaders, our volunteers, rescue organizations, our staff, and the residents, coming up with solutions to solve problems. We do it together. Our part would be, to work to help the community solve these problems is we provide the education of the laws and the best practices, letting them know what they can and can't do. And generally that's what happens. We go out and somebody's breaking an ordinance, we go out and we talk to them because we want to find out what's going on, because everybody's comes from different areas of the country. We all have different backgrounds. So what might be okay for one person in another part of the country is not okay here. So a lot of it's just education and letting them know, what the laws are and what the best practices are. We also want to provide the services that benefit the community as a whole. We want to provide services that keep the human community and the animal community safe. It's not, the reason we have leash laws, we keep people safe because not all dogs like everybody. I was watching a video this morning where one police officer went up and the dog was super nice to him, and then when the second officer rolled up, for some reason that dog just did not like that officer and went after him. They don't know. So just because you say your dog is good doesn't mean it won't be. Sorry, I got off on a rabbit trail. So we want to. So you have at large and you have at large ordinances that. So we keep the human community safe, and it also keeps that pet safe because we don't want to be picking your pet up off the road. You've got to keep your dog up, otherwise it could get hit by a car or other things happen to it. And I apologize. I thought I turned that off. I had it turned off, yeah, for the rain. Not the rooster, yes. I used to have a rooster. Oh, I am so sorry. I used to have a rooster in my...
Mashing it's not going to make that start.
Yep. Maybe that's why it's raining. I swear I turned it off. I used to have a rooster in my pot when it would crow, and when the other officers were out there, they'd hear it crow, and they'd look around because you weren't allowed to have a rooster where I worked before, and they'd all start looking around, so I thought it was funny. And also to provide services to try to find every healthy adoptable animal at home. Is working together with our community to do that. So back on track. There we go. And part of the mission, is also having some vision statements. And through best practices, we're laboring to improve the lives of animals and peoples. And we do that when we have good SOPs, good policies and procedures in place. And they're developed, and all these policies and procedures are developed with safety of people and animals in mind. And to get to those places, and how we figure out what that is, we determine these policies and procedures by state law, by our city ordinances. We do the fear-free guidelines, and we also use the AVMA, that's the American Veterinary Medical Association Guidelines for Animal Shelters. And then, of course, utilizing technology, we're going to labor to improve the lives of animals and people. We want to collect this data so we can make good, logical decisions. Hard part about animal control is you're dealing with animals and you're dealing with people, and there's emotion. You can't work with animals and not like the animals. And when you love the animals and you're trying to make decisions all based on emotion, it's very difficult to do. Having good data, having good plans in place help you to make positive decisions so you can do what's best for what they call herd health. We want to be able to market the pets utilizing technology better, and that's the web pages in place, Facebook, other social medias. We want to be able to push these animals through that way. And just in general, we want to be efficient. Everything that we do, we want to be as efficient as possible, so that frees up as much time as possible so we can help the animals. We also want highly trained employees. I'm a firm believer on employees can't know enough. I had an old boss who told me, he said, "Ray, they don't pay you for what you do, they pay you for what you know." Yep. I'm like, okay, you're right. So we need everybody to know everything as much as possible. And our team right now, we have 3 of us are basic ACOs now, and we have 2 people who are euthanasia certified. And Dakota just came back from another class going through bite stick, pepper spray, and chemical capture class. So we're starting to get him more and more training, and we're starting to grow in that area. Future goals, of course, we want our staff to all be fear-free trained, which at this point they are. And we want our staff to have more than the required. The state mandates every 3 years you have to have 30 hours. It was always my goal to have that at least doubled every 3 years. Another thing we want to do, and this is a project that we're trying to get to in the future, is we need a good volunteer program that utilizes talents and compassion of each individual. Right now we have 3 volunteers that really do a lot down there. Heather does a lot of the social media pictures, and she does rescue networking. Anna, she helps with getting the animals spayed and neutered, but she's also been doing a lot of networking and helping getting animals out right now. And then another, Christy, she comes down and walks the dogs on weekends, and she gets really good pictures, so those pictures help market the animals. So those are just 3 people, but with only 3 people, that'll really burn you out quick. So we want to increase our volunteer program in the future. And we also want to be able to work with our rescues well, and we want a good rescue program based on mutual respect and vision. Because sometimes animal control and rescues fight. I don't know if y'all know that or not, but sometimes we fight. And we just want to, no, I know. And we just want to have good policies in place so that everybody knows where each other stands. We want to model and educate the 5 domains of animal welfare, which is pretty standard across the board. We want to make sure that our animals, when they're at our shelter, they have fresh water and food, and we're taking care of them. They get that variety. We want their environment to be comfortable, temperate. They need to be able to, when they're there, be in a clean environment. Where they have little Kuranda beds, each one of them, so they can get up on. Cats have hide boxes, so they have a place to hide and be comfortable. If when they're inside their cages. We want to make sure their health, give them, good health, make sure we're watching them and we take care of them to the best of our abilities. Give them opportunity to do things that they like to do. If you can give them a toy and other things. When Christy comes down to walk the dogs, gives them the enrichment that they need to get out of the cages for a little while. And we also want their mental state. We want them to be engaged, comfortable, because if they don't have enough to do, they will start going kennel crazy, they call it, cage crazy, and then that'll decrease their time that they can be there, and it also decreases their chance to get adopted. Okay, so that's basically the mission statement that I came up with, and I got it in front of you, so, something for y'all to think about, and to see if it's something that we'd like to go forward with as a board. And I just wanted to kind of give you a report. So every time we come, my thought was I wanted to be able to give you a report to let you know where we stand and what we're doing down there. Just some field highlights. We had a problem dog at a retirement community in Forest Hill. It's like I'm still getting used to the boundaries, but it's like you leave Everman and you go through Fort Worth for just a little bit, and then we hit this retirement community in Forest Hill. So it's, but we finally tracked down. This dog was coming in, and really it wasn't being aggressive or anything, but it was a retirement community, and we finally tracked down the owner, and we figured out who it was. Of course, we warned them, and then it happened again, and citations were issued, and now we haven't had an issue since. So that's good. And we had some aggressive dogs abandoned in Forest Hill, which the owner did take 2 of them, but one we ended up having to go out and just sedate him. And we had a loose dog at Everman High School, and this dog just would not go near anybody, and we ended up having to sedate it. And it turned out to just be, once we got it in, I've never had a dog do this. I sedated it, so imagine I shoot you with a dart gun, and when you wake up, you love me. I've never had that before, so it was just the sweetest dog. And it did go out to rescue. And then we had some problem dogs that have been out for like over 2 years that we trapped 3 of them. We set out dog traps, and we managed to trap 3 of them. And when we caught one, she actually had 8 puppies, and all of them got out. They went to Ohio. Yeah, and we still have 2 still there that are still evading us. You know, there's some dogs, when they see the animal control truck, they know it's the popo, and they have escape routes, and they haul out of there. So. And I talked about our pathway planning. I just kind of wanted to give an idea what pathway planning is. What we're looking for is how many, you take what your capacity is. So for instance, we have 9 dog runs that's our capacity. And then you figure out how many dogs average come in. And before I started, it was 0.99 dogs. I don't know how that works, but 0.99 dogs a day. So we got less than 30 a month on average was coming in according to the data. And then you multiply that out and you figure out how many days your average length of stay is supposed to be for your dogs to be there. And when I first started, the goal was 9 days, that we could hold dogs for 9 days on average. And remember I talked about we had a problem with capacity, over capacity. Well, the average time that was being held was 27.23 days. So if you can imagine, that's a lot of dogs being held outside what the capacity was.
What's LOS?
LOL, that's length of stay. Okay. Length of stay. So what it is today is our goal of length of stay is 5.6 days, and this is for dogs. And from January 1st to April 30th, we actually kept the dogs for 6.5 days on average, which we really, it's raining too hard? There we go. I feel like Elvis. Thank you. Okay. Okay. And it gets louder.
Switch over here?
A what?
Every time you talk louder, it gets louder.
It gets.
Got a rain switch?
Oh, there we go. Yeah, there's. Okay. So we're talking at January 1st. So we got it down to 6.5 days, which was we really dropped it from 27.23 days to 6.5 days, which was a big drop. A big drop. So here's some of our statistics. These are field calls that we did, and boy, you can't see it from here, can you? But in a nutshell, we are averaging. Before we came here, before I started, I'm not for sure how they were keeping track of calls, honestly, but we are keeping track now through the crime system. And we're averaging about 100, animal control's averaging 150 calls a month is what we're doing, between both cities.
What's the difference between the orange and
Orange is Forest Hill, and blue is Everman. You are winning. That's funny. Okay. And boy, I thought this would be bigger on the thing. I'm sorry. Well, if you look behind, yes. Yes. I'll go up. Oh,
Difference in population?
yes. Everman, I think, has 1,600, if I remember when I looked it up, and Forest Hill is about 14? 14, okay, yeah. So I knew it worked out to be, it's 20,000 equal between the two, and 14,000, so it must be 6,000 in Everman. That sound right? Okay. About 6,000, okay. So yeah, Forest Hill is definitely a little bit bigger. Okay. And now I'm looking behind me so I can actually read my own stuff. But our live release rate, everything in orange happened in 2024. That's not right. It must be back. 3. Okay. So that has to be backwards. The 2024 is orange. Okay, well, let's just do it. Live release rate for dogs. In January, you'll see that in January when it first started, it dropped down to 97%. But our live release rate increased 94% compared to the year before, was 71%. And then we dropped down to 68% versus 77% in March. We're back up in April, 83% to 75%. And May is 87% last year, and we're right about 88, 89% right now, live release rate for dogs. So even though, I know I know it's a concern to think about, well, if your average length of stay is less, if you're not keeping them for 27 days, would you be euthanizing more dogs? And that's not how it works, because people are more apt to take them out when the shelter's clean and when there's not chaos going on. So, and same thing with live release rate for cats. Cats generally, we're having 60, 90%. Okay, sorry. So in a nutshell, I wanted to really show that our live release rate is actually about the same, if not a little bit better, because of the policy changes that we've made. That is a lot of rain, isn't it? We might have to take a boat home. Wow. We might have to take a boat home.
Yeah.
So I guess in a nutshell, what I'd really like to talk about, as I click too many, is in the future at the board, I'd really like to talk about, approving and changing and rewriting, whatever we need to do with the mission mission statement, so we're all on the same page. It gives us that foundation to really start building on. I'd like to talk about possible ordinance changes in the future. I know, and I think Forest Hill and Everman uses the same attorney, right? We use the same attorney? Okay, well, that's a plus. That's because you want two people to disagree all the time, put two attorneys in the room. Yeah. And also, I want to know too, what kind of data do you want to see? What would the board like to see from us? That you can see progress or whatever you're really curious about, and you want to know what the shelter's doing. Again, I want to be super transparent about everything. So that's everything for me. Okay. Unless anybody got questions for the... No?
That's good.
Okay.
Okay, with no questions about the presentation, and thank you for that, by the way. Nice job. Let's move on to discussion related to a proposed newly constructed animal shelter and status with the USDA Community Facilities Direct Loan and Grant Program. Is that you, Ray, or Chief?
I think that's going to be me,
Go for it.
but we'll tag team it. So obviously we began this venture back shortly after we started working with Forest Hill we knew that because of the influx in animals that we had just outgrown the current shelter. Forest Hill was in a similar situation as well, so neither one of us have had a good-sized shelter for quite some time. We've talked about this in the Animal Control Advisory Board meetings, and staff began putting together some work to try to figure out how we could achieve this goal of getting a new shelter that would satisfy the needs of the growth and also really serve as a better opportunity for our animal welfare operations. When we talk about the location of our current shelter just not being optimal, it's off the beaten path. Nobody knows where it's at. It's not visible. It's not accessible. So people don't tend to just go there. When you put it in a better location, you get increased marketing. People then begin to want to go and visit and see what's going on. And 9 times out of 10, you get somebody with a cuddly animal. They can't walk away with it, right? So we want them to come through the front doors of the shelter. Our current shelter just is not inviting. Ray and the team have done a phenomenal job of getting it cleaned up and making it look very nice. But again, it's just not very inviting in where it's at. There's not a space in there for the public to really come in and sit down. We have no space to allow them to really engage with an animal before making that adoption. We kind of have to make it up as we go. There's no play yard or anything. So all of those thoughts went into kind of designing what we've gotten so far as kind of a concept design, which was shared with you in the packet. I didn't print all 110 pages of it because it's just a concept design, and you probably aren't too interested in all of the minute details. Oh, you printed it. Of the minute details of the grant application, but we did include all the information there as well for you, so you know of how complex of a process it is through the USDA. There are some changes that we are going to have to make to this shelter because the anticipated conceptual cost came back pretty high. So we're working at scaling a couple of things down. But some of the things that I think we all agreed on that we don't want to compromise on is the number of kennels that are provided and adequate public space for them to be able to engage with the animals. We want to keep those 2 things up front. And I think we've been able to do that with some of the conversations we've had with the engineering firm. So really our next step is that staff, which includes Ray, Sergeant Robinson, one of our police officers that writes grants, Elizabeth, financial director, are all working on little bits and pieces that have to go into this grant application. If you had any chance at all to read through that USDA grant application, there are many requirements that have to go into that. And so they've been doing the research, collecting the data, getting the information that's necessary to be able to put this in. We also we've already gotten permission from the Everman City Council to move forward with the application. Once we've completed all of those steps, we have to go back to a meeting with the USDA. Then we have to host 2 public hearings as a part of this and get public input on the project before we can submit our final application. What we are hoping for is this application will pay for, depending on which classification they put us in, either 50% or 75% of the project, which means the other 50 or 25% would fall on us. So we are working on the side of this grant application, working on the side of doing valuation and assessment of the property value of where the shelter currently is, so we can look to sell that and use proceeds from that to help offset any percentage that we have to match. And then once we know what those numbers are, we'll come back to the table and figure out and try to identify where we can come up with any lapse of funding that we may have. So that's where we currently are on the shelter operation and the USDA application. And I'll answer any questions. If anybody has some downtime and you want to jump on board the team to help complete this application and process and information, we'll take all the help we can get because, as you can see, it's almost 100 pages of information just on how to get this application done.
Question.
Yeah.
What is the amount of the grant that y'all are proposing?
We came in at 1.5 million. No.
1.8.
$1.8 million.
1.8?
The way it is currently designed, as you see it, is $1.8 million. I think 1.5 was our goal, if I remember right. Okay. Any other questions on the shelter? Okay.
Right. We're going to move on to, thank you, Chief.
Yes, ma'am.
Announcements and requests for future agenda items by the Board of Commissioners. Ooh, that sounds official, doesn't it? Announcements, and what do we mean by announcements?
Well, this is really an exploratory meeting, it being the first one. So I think what Ray's looking for and what staff is looking for is, what is it that you guys want to see more information on? What is it you would like to hear about? What can we present to you? And what matters to you that we need to discuss? Have you heard complaints from residents that we need to bring to the table to talk about how to solve? What items would you like to see brought forth on the next agenda?
Okay.
And the other thing is the board is required legislatively to meet at least 3 times a year. Another discussion that probably needs to happen amongst the board is whether you want to keep it at 3 times a year, whether you want to meet 6 times a year, once a month, twice a month. How frequently do you as a board want to meet? I would recommend, because this is still kind of new and we're still working on improving some things, maybe a little bit more than 3 times a year would be good, just so that we can keep that citizen input coming back from you guys, and get the board oversight that's needed. So maybe 6 times a year, either every other month or once a month. I think, at least as we start out, would be a good idea. And then we can always trend that back. As long as we meet at minimum 3 times a year,
Okay.
we'll be compliant with the law.
I'd like to suggest that we meet every other month for the time being. We've got a lot of work to do on a new shelter. Ray has got a truckload of stuff that he's focused on down at the shelter, or shelter as it is. And I just think we need to really focus for quite a while on the shelter's needs as it is, but for the new one. And if we get to the point, like you said, where we're comfortable, we can break it down to every 4 months or 3 months. But I just really feel like we need intense focus right now. And that's just my personal opinion. Anybody else? Okay.
I think
Okay.
it's-
Okay, so for the time being, we'll do every other month.
I'd
Okay,
second that.
thank you. Do we need to vote on that?
No, the ordinance didn't set, it just said a minimum of 3 times. You as
Okay.
the chair can set those meetings.
Okay,
I think it would be helpful to know, we were trying to gauge the best time to do these meetings. I don't know if Thursdays at 1:30 is the best time, but it might be worth discussing too if
okay.
what is this, the third Tuesday, or the third Thursday?
This is the last one.
I mean, for staff, we're here Monday through Friday, so for us, it's easy.
So this
Judy's
is,
retired, so.
this is the 5th Thursday of the month, but not every month has 5 of something.
Sure.
So let's kick around maybe the 4th Thursday of every month during the day. That means people don't have to come at night after they get home or whatever. Is everybody okay with that? How about you, Mayor?
So we're talking about July.
May,
The
June,
next
July,
meeting
yes.
would be in July, and you said the 4th?
I'm just kicking that around, yes. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Um,
Except I'm not going to be here. I'll be coming back from a cruise.
I won't, yeah.
Okay, let's try to stay away from Fridays because City Hall is going to be closed on Friday. We can do that, but let's try to avoid that.
What about the 3rd
The
Thursday?
3rd Thursday? Everybody look at your calendars. July, August, September, then November. Whoop. 3rd Thursday. Yep, that's the week before Thanksgiving. That's okay. All right, is the 3rd Thursday. That includes staff. I mean, I know y'all are here, but you may have something standing that happens. Okay, you're all right. Mindy, I know you're here. Everybody okay with the 3rd Thursday? Yes, sir. We moved it to 3rd.
So July 18th would be the next meeting at
Yes.
1:30?
So let me write that down. July 18th. We'll just do a standing 1:30 in the afternoon. So we'll have July 18th, September 19th, November 21. Okay. Everybody comfortable with that?
November 21. I think.
November 21st, which is the week before Thanksgiving. Okay. That's important. Okay. So we've got our next few meetings and times set up. We need, this is for me for communications. We need an email with everybody's email address on it, and I believe we've got that. Does that include, get over here. Does that include the vet and, just everybody?
Yes.
Does it include staff?
Maybe not.
Okay.
I'll get that done.
Okay, they need to be included on everything. Transparency, 100%. Okay. So with that being said, if you've got an idea of something you want to bring to the council, please email, hit reply
committee.
all, or, say again?
Committee.
Committee. Thank you. Starts with a
welcome.
C, I'm close. Don't wait until a meeting comes up. If something happens, you see it, you hear it, please send an email immediately to everybody on the committee. So we can have that in our head, we can get it on the next agenda. Maybe we can have some information about it before the next meeting. You have a question?
I was just going to say, instead of maybe not to everybody on the committee so we don't violate open meetings, but if you want to send it to just either you as the chairperson or to staff, we'll be happy to put it on the
Oh,
agenda.
okay. So
Yeah.
that kind of thing
Yeah, I just don't
might
want
get
to.
everybody in
I
trouble.
don't want to inadvertently. I know that would not be anybody's intention, but I
Okay.
just don't want to inadvertently create any kind of walk-in quorum violation.
So either send it to Ms. Boardingham, Ms. Mackey, or Chief? Okay. But if, really and truly, if you see something, send it out. Let's don't wait, because we could get some research done on it before that next meeting. Go ahead.
I would like to talk about the possibility of having an event to get dogs and cats registered. I've kind of been putting a plan together. I wanted to meet the vet while we were here, but I guess that will be the July meeting. But I want to bring some ideas of doing a event maybe in Forest Hill, because apparently we're winning, and see if we can get them registered and maybe get pictures or something like that. So if we could get that on the agenda, I would like to talk about that.
What do you mean by registered?
Getting pets registered with our animal control
okay,
facility.
And I think what else we could probably do a better job of is trying to plan out events. Like, I know National Night Out's going to be coming up pretty quick. That might be a great opportunity to do something like that if we can somehow advertise it beforehand. But I think just making sure that we're aware of what events and then kind of planning that out too. I love that idea. Getting registered.
And we have a new newsletter that goes out quarterly, so the next one would be September 1st. So that would give us an opportunity at that July meeting maybe to come up with information that we, because we're winning, can get in our newsletter for our residents to maybe educate. So that's something, maybe that's another item we want to talk about, is what would the board like for us to put in our newsletter in order to help educate, to make it a little easier for the Animal Control Services Department. So maybe that's a second idea to put on there, that we could get feedback on that. And that would give everybody a couple of months to think about what would be the best plan to attack that. Yeah.
Okay, so far we've got ideas, an event to register dogs. I'd like to pursue that as well. Every time we have a Forest Hill event or an Everman event, we have the dogs out there, not only to get them registered for the citizens, but we've got dogs that need homes. So, and we got kind of good at that. Years we didn't, but that would be a good way, if it's cool enough. We don't want them out there baking, but we want people to see the little animals that we have. So
And
let's
I think that's
advertise
something
them.
we probably need to wait and talk about when it's on the agenda item.
Right.
Yeah.
We're adding it. Okay, anybody else have ideas to throw out here for this? Okay,
And that mission statement, I'm hoping that we can have time to bring that back to the July so that everybody can kind of mull over it and think about it, and then that way we can kind of work that one together at the next one as well.
okay. Mission statement, edit approval. I should have brought more paper.
I got plenty.
Thank you. Okay, we're going to move to C, discussion related to a proposed newly constructed animal shelter.
No,
Wait a
we're
minute,
on,
nope, skip down, it's E as in egg. Okay, scheduling the next Animal Shelter Advisory Committee meeting, check that off. We're getting ahead of ourselves. F, an overview of shelter operations, like updates, current and future plans. Have we discussed that enough, or do we need to? Okay. We have. Also, overview of field operations, statistics, and projects. I think have you covered that? Are there some, I'm on B under F. B under F. Overview, okay. Okay, so if we're covering everything correctly, we should be down to 7, consideration and possible action. Okay. I hope y'all are hearing me. That rain is incredible. All right, we're on consideration of mission statement proposal for municipal animal services. So I think we've kind of chewed on that.
I would like to ask to have that tabled to the July meeting.
All right, do I hear a, okay, you've got the motion. Does
Made a
anybody
motion.
second? Okay, so that is B and P, 1 and second. Okay. Everybody okay with that? Raise your hands. I guess we'll just need a show of hands here. Okay. All right, so we'll move that to the July meeting, and that'll give us a chance, like she said, to read it and get a feel for it. So that's also B, the new mission statement. And then, so let me check that off. We'll move that. Okay, that's also moved. And then B under B is consider updating city ordinances to mirror both cities.
so on this, before any discussion occurs on this, I just want to point out, so this is an advisory committee. So the way that we can do this, and you may not have anything tonight or today to go under this item, but we'll probably keep this one on the agenda for the next few meetings,
Okay.
is you can move to make a recommendation, which if you move to make a recommendation and that recommendation is seconded and then voted and passed, we would draft that recommendation, have the chair sign off on the recommendation. That recommendation would then go to the respective councils of both Everman and Forest Hill as an official recommendation to those city councils to amend an ordinance.
Okay.
We would have the city attorney, after you made a recommendation, we would have the city attorney work to draft those ordinances up appropriately. I like what Ray mentioned earlier, that our city attorney is the same, so that does make it very easy for us to mirror ordinances, and I think that will make it easier for staff too. And I think our goals are all the same, so I don't foresee that being any sort of issue.
Okay. So what do we need to do to get that rolling?
I think we should table it. Everybody think of recommendations, bring recommendations back, do a little bit of research, bring it back to the next meeting, offer our recommendations to staff, and then staff can get with the attorney and let them mull through it and see which ones work and which ones meet state law and don't. So that would probably be another one to table, but everybody brings some information back the next time.
So we would all need copies of the Forest Hill and Everman ordinances. Okay.
We can do that. We'll pull those together and we'll send those out, so
Okay.
you can see the differences and which ordinances we're referencing.
Okay. So, no, go right ahead.
We can get those like now. Like, can we have those emailed to us so that we have time to go through both of them and look and see?
Yes, we'll do that shortly following the meeting. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
Excellent. All right, so also moved to July is going to be consider updating our city ordinances, and staff between both cities will get the appropriate ordinances to us for review. All right.
Sorry, real quick. I know we had a motion. Did we get a second? It doesn't have to be voted on, but a table does have to have a second.
Okay.
Second?
All right.
Okay.
Seconded
Thank
by
you.
Judy. B and JS. Okay. All right. That looks like it covers everything. Anything else? I don't have an anything else category, but, all right, with that,
Wait.
whoa, go ahead.
How many animals?
We can't hear you.
Animals do we have right now in the shelter?
12.
12?
12.
That's not
That
bad.
includes dogs and cats?
Yeah, 11 dogs, 1 cat. And
Wow.
I have we have a mom and a puppy in one cage, and then we have 2 small Shih Tzus that are in one run as well. So if they come in together and they're the same sex,
Yeah.
we'll let them stay in the one cage to help
Right.
control space. And then we had a mother dog that only had 1 puppy, and of course, moms and puppies are in one cage.
Okay, thank you.
Have a lot of cats come in each day, or how do you do that?
Can't hear.
Is there a lot of cats that come in, or how many do you have on a daily
Closer,
basis?
Ray, we can't hear you.
Right now, we have 1 cat, and generally, we have the rescues come and pull the cats fairly quick at this time. Even the ferals, which we're not getting a lot. There a lot of people. There's not a lot of trapping going on or anything at this time.
How many pigs do we get? I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
You laugh. I think we've
Negative
had a pig.
2.
We don't, but I know a mayor that gets them.
I think we've had a pig in the past. Snake, possums. Okay, with that done, I'm going to adjourn the meeting at 2:38.